Google. Let's go get him again.
Welcome to the Ropes 08 channel. I'm your host, Mark. Now, if you're a returnee, hey, welcome back. If you're new here, don't hesitate to subscribe and comment below in the comment section. Love to hear from you. So, welcome to Sampling Samples Sunday, where every Sunday we sample. And today's sample is on the brand of DS and Durga, and this is their fragrance called Amber Teutonic. Now, I think this is close to the end of my sampling spree from DS and Durga. I don't think I have any more left. This could be the last one. I bought those like months ago, but after several videos, I think they're getting enough press from me personally, and honestly, they have been very solid all the way through. I haven't met a bad DS and Durga fragrance. Yeah, there's some that are not outstanding, but there is quite a few really good ones. So it is a brand to check out. Now, this one right here, I'm expecting big things because it is one that I was excited about. This one was released, I believe, with my favorite from the brand, Amber Kiso. So my love for Amber Kiso, I'm really excited about Amber Teutonic. I think, you know, they do ambers really, really well. I personally think that this is David Seth Maltz, and that's the perfumier, the nose behind it, and the brand owner. I think that's his bread and butter is amber. He does ambers really, really well. The one thing I did want to put into the sampling samples videos, I looked for it on the DS and Durga website, and I couldn't find Amber Teutonic, so I don't know if it's discontinued, and I don't want to start anything saying it's discontinued or not, but that is something to be mindful of, that this one is not, it might not be easy to find, and not maybe just in Canada, in my region. It might be available in other regions. So let's check this one out. Let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at some stats on this one before I start sniffing it. Release date was 2018. Concentration, of course, is EDP, Eau de Parfum. The nose, of course, David Seth Maltz. I think an excellent perfumier, great nose in our community. Now, the big notes to my nose, there's quite a bit of notes and there's quite a bit of imagery in this release. This is a really good release, but I feel like the things that I really wanted to pinpoint was the first thing is the mandarin in the introduction. It's very unique citrus, and I'm going to get to that, the way he utilized that note. Pine, of course, again, another imagery of that. You're going to get the wood, pine cones. You're going to get the pine needles. You're going to get a lot of things from the pine. And then the amber, and the amber itself goes with the pine imagery. It's actually, if you think about it, almost like a pine sap, like amber, that it's sticky, gooey. Very interesting fragrance. So now that I've spoke about it a little bit, hopefully I piqued your interest. Let's get the sniff. All right, I got my little Lucky Scent sample. Let's drain it. Yeah, there's actually quite a bit more in here than I thought, but yeah, she's done. Now, Amber Teutonic, here's my scent of the day. I'm just finishing off the sample here, but wow. Complex, woody, resinous, green, spicy, sweet, all of the above in this introduction. Now, what do I get in the first part of it is the opening of Amber Teutonic starts off with a green, spicy backbone with a beautiful mandarin up top. This mandarin note immediately brought me to the orangey glow of the one from Byredo, which is called Tobacco Mandarin, which I sampled months ago. It brought me to that scent. Both scents give this citrus a little limelight, but honestly, it makes a big impact in the opening. It's not a big, juicy citrus. No, it obviously it dissipates in time, but it's beautiful when it's there. And the mandarin itself, it gives off a rind-like quality. It's not big, bright, and juicy. It really is just a piece of the puzzle, and an excellent piece of the puzzle, to be honest, because it really just gives a piece of this whole darkness that's surrounding it. But it does have a little bit, I wouldn't say a little bit of brightness, but you know it's there. It's really interesting. Now, that mandarin note mixes in with an excellent cardamom note up top that turns this scent green, spicy. There's some more greens here, and if you've ever seen a bottle of this stuff, the juice is green. It makes sense. So there's a pine needle show that's coming here, and it's going to give this fragrance a mild campherous feel. So that's the opening, kind of spicy green, and you feel a little bit of that ambery glow, but it's going to get a little more into the back end. So more into the mid of Amber Teutonic is now you lost that mandarin note. She's gone. You still get that cardamom, but it is a mild secondary note here. And what it is this part of the act is the second part of Amber Teutonic that gives you woods from the pine. You get the pine cones in here. You really do. And those pine cones, imagine them falling on the ground. They get a little dirty. It might have, rained, so there's things stuck to the pine cone. But you do smell it. And they're a little dirty, but they also have, and this is the tricky, and this is the best part of Amber Teutonic, is that it has a little bit of sticky pine sap on those pine cones. And that is really the interesting part of this fragrance. It's green, it's resinous, it's sticky, a little wet because it rained a bit, but dry at the same time, because pine cones are dry, and woody. Very interesting release. Now there's the sweetness here, and I call it the pine sap because that ambery glow it's not a big bold amber based fragrance to me. It's part of the process, and it's basically the back end of this fragrance. Really what David Stuffed Malts really wanted was the green aspects with an ambery back end, and it's sweet, it's honeyed almost, and it does have that syrupy sappy type of ambery glow, and it is a major factor in this release, don't get me wrong, but it's not your typical ambery fragrance. It really has a lot of green nuances, a lot of dare I say natural green woody aspects here up top in the forefront of the release. Now Mr. Malts isn't done impressing me in this release. Like that ambery glow, very unique, sappy, the pine, the pine cone, pine needle, woods effect, really interesting. But there's also something hidden in all of this. There's a little neat trick that I couldn't put my finger on what note did it, and it might not be a published note, but there's a coconut accord in here somewhere after the mandarin leaves. And it does from time to time. I smell like a coconutty like accord. And David utilizes coconut in many of his scents that, I've tested a bunch of them, and they have coconut accords in them. So it does not surprise me. It kind of surprises me in a darker fragrance like this, but it's an interesting, and I smell it now while I'm talking about it. Maybe I'm fooling myself, but very interesting accord in this one. It is all about the pine sap accord to me. The sap is more of an underlying note than the woods, because the woods are more of a facet here, and it's just that sap, it's just everything that's sitting on it, so it's not really, it's there, but it's not at the forefront, so you really have to almost kind of dig. It's there, but it's the one thing that I'm gravitating towards in this release. Now, once you start getting into the deeper dry down of this release, it's not, and that's one thing that, the way I'm talking about this, woods, sap, ambery, you would think this is a big, bold scent at this point, but it sits on the skin quite well. It's not a big, monstrous release, at least to my nose. Like an Amber Kiso is from the same brand, is a big release, and I mean like it engulfs you. This one's very much, it really sticks on your skin, so it does really well. It's not, here in the back end, it's not as woody as the mid was. The ambery glow is still there. The greenness is there, but also losing steam. So at this point, I felt like the wood was not more, it wasn't really a pine, it was more of a cedar-like. It was cedar heavy here, and like a watered down cedar. Again, not big, rough and tumble, like you're going to Home Depot type of cedar. It really is stretched thin a little bit as a note. Not big, punching. You do get a little bit of incense. Again, same thing. It's nicely balanced, I guess. And then there's some musky tones in the back end of this release, and that's pretty much the end of it. So the major factors is, of course, the pine. Like I said earlier on, the pine and the amber. It really is what this imagery is all about. Now, overall, all I can say about this scent is that it's very artistic. It's not for everybody. Is it really an amber-based scent? Yeah, kind of. It toes the line a little bit. It's not your typical amber absolute or anything that you can think of like a really sweet fragrance. It really isn't that. It's really, there's a lot of greens here that kind of overflow the ambery glow. Lots of wood, so it's more of a complex scent than an ambery one. So if you're looking for a straight up amber, this ain't it. But it is, if you smell tons of ambers, this is a very interesting release that you can, I think you'll like it, you'll appreciate it. So really a great artistic set from DS and Durga. Now let's get into Seasons, Day Night versatility and performance. Let's start off with Seasons. This is a tweener, but also can fall into winter. So fall, spring, and winter seasons. Day or night, either way for me, I feel like you'll get more wearings out of this during the nighttime. Versatility, fairly average depending where you are in your journey. I could see some people really not liking this, maybe a little too bold for them, but if you're where I'm at in the journey, you'll like this, and the versatility is going to be kind of average for you. You can wear it day, night, and 3 seasons out of 4, even in the summer night, there's no problem there. I think the greenness would actually really do well in the summer. Performance, longevity was 8 to 10 hours. So it's not a beast per se. It's not a 12 plus hour type of fragrance, at least from me on this Lucky Scent sample. With average projection, again, like I said in the review, it was something that was more, the way people describe it and the way I described it, you almost feel like this can be a big punching fragrance, and it's not. It really is a very good as far as performance go, but not great. So my final thoughts on Amber Teutonic, it takes a little bit of tobacco mandarin from Byredo, a little bit of Vert d'Essence by Tom Ford, mix it in the bag a little bit, don't forget the florals in Vert d'Essence, it's not that, but it makes a really interesting scent together. It's a mood-based scent to me. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect with this particular release, and yeah, I was thinking maybe heavy amber, which it isn't, and then when I was looking at the juice, maybe a heavy green scent, which it kind of is, but isn't. It's a unique piece, and that's something that I have to recommend to sniff. It's not my favorite from the brand, of course, but it could easily go top 5 for me. It really is that unique, and that is something that I really cherish. I've been doing fragrance reviews for, I'm the grandpa of the fragrance YouTube game now. So grandpa likes unique fragrances, and that's where I'm at right now, is that this is a very unique and well blended fragrance, and that's where I appreciate fragrances like this. So definitely niche. If I had to give it a score, and I always do on sampling samples, out of 10 I would give this fragrance 9 bottles out of 10. It just got this close to a perfect 10 score. Again, a very solid release, top 5 dead or alive from the brand of DS and Durga, most likely, and they have some really good scents. Now, once I get the bottle and I start wearing it more and more, now does that jump up to a 10? Does it go down, or does it stay right at the 9? That's where you have to subscribe and wait. Now that you heard my take, I'd love to see yours in the comments below. What did you think about this release? Have you smelt it? If not, talk about DS and Durga. I'd love to hear your take on the brand. And as always, a creative pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent wisely. Thanks for watching.